I'm going to tell you several mistakes that you should not make after a car accident, and we're starting right now. I'm Justin from justinziegler.net. The first mistake that you shouldn't make after a car accident is leaving the scene. A driver may tell you that he's at fault, but if it's not documented by you on your video camera or through a handwritten confession from the other driver, the driver can later change his or her story. The other driver may seem very sweet and nice at the scene, but once they start talking to their family members or friends, they may change their story. Sure, some drivers are honest people, many in fact are, but some will change their story, and that can really result in a lower payout for you. Another mistake that you should avoid after a car accident is, if you're injured, leaving the scene before paramedics or an ambulance comes to the scene. You also want to wait for police to come to the scene so that your injuries are documented. Insurance companies love to try to offer to pay you less by arguing that because you didn't take an ambulance to the hospital or because you didn't complain of pain at the scene, your case is worth less. Now, it doesn't automatically mean that you don't have a case if you leave the scene of the accident before paramedics or an ambulance comes, so long as the other driver turns out to be an honest individual. Another mistake that car accident victims make time and time again is, after the car accident, they're very emotional and they reach out to the other driver's insurance company, and the other driver's car insurance company, their adjuster, says, "Will you let me take your recorded statement?" Now, the person who's injured wants to get their car fixed, they're emotional, and they're speaking with generally a nice insurance adjuster, so they say, "Sure, why not? What's the harm?" Now, sometimes a recorded statement may not come back to bite you and lower the value of your case. However, sometimes people will say one thing during a recorded statement that can really lower the value of your case. Keep in mind that legally you do not have to give the other driver's insurance company a recorded statement. Sure, I've had adjusters in letters tell me that they are not going to pay my client's property damage to their car if my client doesn't give a recorded statement. However, when that happens, and if there's clear liability, typically in a rear accident case where the other driver's 100% at fault, or if the other driver ran a red light or stop sign, if they take that position, rather than immediately filing a lawsuit for about $400 or so, I'll typically file a consumer complaint with the Department of Insurance. That usually gets the insurance company to change their mind quickly. Another mistake that I see people make time and time again after car accidents is they don't preserve the event data recorders in the cars. Cars, just like airplanes, have something called a black box. Now, technically it's an event data recorder, but you want to get a letter to the other driver and owner of the car asking them to preserve that event data recorder. That is going to show the other driver's speed at the time of the impact. It's going to show whether airbags deployed and a lot of other important information. It's going to show whether they braked prior to the crash and how hard they braked, and it's also going to show their speed a few seconds before the crash. Now, there are cases, for example, if you're on a bicycle or if you're a pedestrian, where if it's another car that hits you, the event data recorder may not capture that information. I recommend reaching out to a company like Collision Data. You can call them and ask them if the car that was involved in the crash has an event data recorder. They're pretty friendly people over there. They've told me over the phone, and sometimes they'll say, listen, if a car hit a bicyclist, the odds are that it's not going to capture the impact, or if a car hits a pedestrian, it's not going to capture the impact. It's always better to find out if the vehicles have an event data recorder. The last thing you want is for vehicles to be destroyed and then the event data recorder disappears. Another mistake that I constantly see car accident victims make is they assume that because they are dealing with friendly insurance adjusters that their case is going to get paid. Here's the bottom line. Most insurance adjusters are friendly. Particularly, this is true for the larger insurance companies like State Farm, Geico, Progressive, Allstate, Farmers. They have the money to hire people who are well qualified and friendly people, but there is zero relationship between someone being nice and paying your claim. I've had rude adjusters pay me a lot of money. I've dealt with very nice insurance adjusters who have been sweet for many months dealing with them and friendly, and they joke around. And then later on, they deny liability. Then I sue. Sometimes another adjuster at that same company gets assigned to the case, who then does a re-review of the case and often offers more money to settle. Other times we have to litigate the case, and it usually resolves. Most cases settle before a trial. Another mistake that I see car accident victims make over and over is they assume that just because they're telling the other driver's insurance company that they have neck or pain or back pain, that this is going to carry the day during the case. It's not. You want to go to get medical treatment. If you have health insurance, there's no excuse to not go to urgent care if you feel that you need to be seen. Urgent care will document your injury so that later on the insurance company will not say, hey, you waited 7 days to get medical treatment. Your case is worthless, or your case is worth a lot less than we would have paid if you would have taken an ambulance to the hospital. And if you think because you're dealing with a sweet insurance adjuster from Geico or State Farm and you wait 8 days to go to the treatment, if you think that they are not going to later on lower the value of your claim and offer you less because of that, you are 100% wrong. The only exception to that is if the other driver has a low insurance policy limit, meaning let's say they have $10,000 of bodily injury liability coverage, and your case ultimately ends up being worth more than $10,000, then waiting a little bit may not ultimately affect your case if the case is worth more than the policy. But if their insurance policy, the other driver's insurance policy, is worth more than your injury and you wait to get medical treatment, every day you wait devalues and lowers the value of your case. This is particularly true also at an auto insurance companies that use claims evaluation software like Colossus or other softwares to calculate the value of their case. These programs ask the insurance adjuster for the date of the accident, and then they say date of first medical treatment. Every day you wait, your claim is dropping in value. That means you're going to get a lower offer. Another mistake that people who are seriously injured in car accidents make is they don't consult with an attorney. Now, I'm not saying every single person who's injured in a car accident needs to get an attorney. I don't believe that that's the case. However, if you do consult with an attorney, they may give you a free pointer or two that you had no idea about. That could ultimately increase the value of your case. Now, if you do consult with an attorney and you're planning on hiring them, ask them a few very important questions. Ask, are they going to be the attorney handling your case from start to finish? Some clients may not care about that. It doesn't matter for them. Others want to deal with the same person they're speaking with from day one. Another question you want to ask the attorney is, are they going to send you a copy of every fax, email, and letter that they send and receive in the case? If that's something that's important to you and you want to be kept informed as to what's going on with your case, so you know that the attorney is working on it, you need to ask that question before you hire the lawyer. If you haven't asked the attorney whether they're going to send you a copy of every document that goes in and out of their office, an email, you're making a mistake. Not every attorney will send you every email, fax, and letter that comes in and out of the office, so discuss it with them before you hire them. One of the biggest reasons people call me and want to switch to my law firm from another car accident law firm is they say that their attorney hasn't kept them informed. I ask, did your attorney send you all of the emails, faxes, and letters that the attorney sends and received? Most often, the potential client says no. Now, some very good car accident lawyers may not send the client a copy of every fax, email, and letter that's received or sent. It doesn't mean that they're bad attorneys, it's just not part of the way that they operate. But I've seen that it bothers clients from other firms so much that we've made that part of my standard practice and we always do it, and it results in happy clients. Another mistake that car accident victims make is they don't ask the attorney that they're hiring if they're an attorney that will file a lawsuit. Not every case is worth filing a lawsuit in, but as a strategic decision, the attorney needs to be willing and able to file a lawsuit, and this is something that should be discussed with the client if a lawsuit is appropriate. The last thing you want to do is hire an attorney who, although they're a good attorney, will not file a lawsuit for you. Then you're going to have to switch attorneys. Now, again, to make it clear, I don't sue in every case. In fact, my standard to sue is pretty high. However, when the case is right, I will sue in a heartbeat. As I said earlier, sometimes when you file a lawsuit, it triggers a change in an insurance adjuster. I know, for example, that if you're dealing with Progressive in a lower injury case, such as just your neck hurting or back hurting, once you file a lawsuit and you send it to the adjuster, they are automatically going to send that case to a litigation adjuster. That just means lawsuit adjuster. Adjusters that handle lawsuits have more settlement authority and they have the ability to pay you more for your injuries. To learn how to get the largest settlement in the shortest amount of time, watch these videos here.